Welcome to Summer School. These are virtual sessions brought to you in partnership with the California Independent Booksellers Alliance, Mountains and Plains Independent Booksellers Association, and Pacific Northwest Independent Booksellers Association, though it is open to all indie booksellers across the country. Today's session is branding and marketing and telling your story. In an era when brand is king, nothing you put in front of your customers and community is a throwaway. Your storefront, your website, your displays, your newsletter, your events, your staff, do they all convey what you want to be known for and what you are about? This session, facilitated by Chris Hunts of Charlie's Queer Books in Seattle, Washington, and Adam Bienvenu of Sherwood Bookstore in Sherwood, Oregon, will invite examples and interaction for ensuring your store is doubling down on its true self. Adam, Charlie, welcome, and thank you for being here today. I'm going to pass it on to you and allow you to introduce yourselves. I'll start with Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm the owner of Sherwood Bookstore in Sherwood, Oregon. I like to say I don't know what I'm doing. I've been in the book industry for a whopping 13 months, and I decided to for some reason to open a bookstore, and it's been going great.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Charlie, and I own Charlie's Queer Books in Seattle. I'm coming to you from my house. It looks pretty much the opposite of this room. We've been open for about 3 years, so we're still baby and still very much still figuring it out as well. But we sell queer books, so any genre that you would expect to see in a general bookstore just happens to be by queer authors or have queer characters central to the book.
Perfect. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you both approached branding for your stores? Did it happen like before you even opened your doors, or was it something that grew as you got started? And I'll pop it over to Chris, or for Charlie for that, excuse me.
Well, I spent my career before books in marketing. So my whole career was brand marketing. And so it was kind of like um, a pet project. It was a really fun part for me to be able to create something on my own. We did create the branding before we opened because we wanted to build momentum for uh, for funding campaigns, for pop-ups to help spread the word, for any kind of marketing material that we wanted to get the word out about the store, and also just to honestly, it helped us save a little money on the build out because we already knew ahead of time what the vision was for the way it should look and feel. So we spent, I mean, gosh, really don't have to spend a lot. I think we spent 2,500 working with an agency here in town, um, who I found through other storefronts that I liked or other branding locally that I liked, found out who their agency was and contacted them. And with that amount of money, we got a logo, color scheme, font, some social templates to use, and um, and then some other guidance here and there. And we also knew that it would probably be a good idea to have a mascot. So we contacted, same thing. I found an illustrator through another business who had a great mascot, contacted them, and I think for $1,000 they created uh, three different bears for us to use and helped us work through different mascots before we ended up at the bear. One note about the bear, we wanted to make sure that it was um, the brand should give you Palm Springs vibes. So it's gay without being rainbows and unicorns, which are great, but not what we wanted to go for. And was bright in the dark Pacific Northwest. Um, and so we were like, okay, well, what animal could be uh, still a nod to the queer community without being a unicorn and still tie this Palm Springs thing back to the Pacific Northwest. And so that's how we ended up with the bear. And so over the past couple of years, we've had different illustrators do their takes on the bear, and it's been really fun. But yeah, full fledged before we even opened our doors, so that I mean, it wasn't we just had the basics that we could then run with and apply to as many things using templates and low brain cells as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Adam?
Charlie, you have no idea how much I love a bear as a mascot for a queer bookstore. Um, I love that. So, with us, the bookstore was actually kind of the end result of the exploration, which is kind of a weird idea. We didn't know what we wanted to do, but we knew we wanted to do something. And we really started with the idea of what is the emotional response that we want people to have to the business we're going to be going into. And for us, it's always slowing down, mindfulness, taking your time, as well as like cozy, and a little bit unpretentious. I feel like it's easy to make a bookstore that's a little bit too cool. And being in the suburbs, we are not that cool out here. So we actually came up with our mascot early on, which is a snail. Everything in our store is meant to be enjoyed slowly, is what we tell people. So we sell books clearly, but also we have vinyl records, and vinyl records are a slow way to consume music. You just have to put it on and let it take you for the journey. We sell a lot of stationery. Writing is a slow way to communicate. We sell typewriters, or we don't sell typewriters. We have typewriters for kids to use. One day I'll get into selling typewriters. We have incense. It's all just this slow, methodical uh products, right? And the snail felt like a perfect mascot to go along with that. Um, when we were doing this, like I guess it's also a little bit of a cheat. Like both me and my partner's backgrounds are in graphic design and user and experience design. And so for us, it was applying a lot of these skills to what we already know to a new environment. And actually, I think that is the most valuable skill in opening any new business, is figuring out what you're already good at and then how to leverage that towards what you're doing. And so we have a lot of custom furniture in here, and it's because I am at least good enough with a saw to cut a rectangle and screw on some legs to it, but it gives us like, oh, all of our furniture is like custom birch plywood furniture. It's like, well, yeah, because I can cut a piece of plywood, it's not that I'm a furniture maker. We have a background in graphic design, but it's mostly for like big gross companies, and it doesn't really translate one to one to the cozy feel we're going for, but we're still like figuring out how to leverage our skills in new ways. And so yeah, for us right away we knew we wanted to be this like refuge away from the digital world. And so we kind of let where we wanted to end up inform the rest of the journey to get there.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love the like built-in slogan that you had, that everything you're here to slow down in the bookstore, which is nice.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. And Charlie, there was a quick question from Jean was wondering, I think it was Jean, was wondering if the bear has a name. Does your mascot have a name?
No, we get that question a lot. We tried to do like uh, have customers name the bear. They weren't really into it, and uh, the names, frankly, weren't that inspired. So the kids have the best names. They're all just bear, but with some kind of ending at the end, like berry or barista or things like that. Kids always have the best ideas, but no, it doesn't. People ask if that's who Charlie is, and I'll say yes. So
Right.
it can really be anything. That's a good idea for a future campaign.
Yeah.
Though that would be a good one.
That's funny. Yeah, I see Daniel put a comment in Barry McBareface, and that's what I
Yeah.
initially like immediately thought of was the Bodie McBoatface campaign of naming like I forget which boat it was, but some group did a name our new boat, and that's that's what the votes got, was Bodie McBoatface. So yeah, it's always a little risky to put it to the public, but very nice. Adam, does your snail have a name?
Same story.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
just no,
no,
no.
no official name. Having two kids, and one of them has to be the right one, so it was just easier to be like, nobody gets to name it.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. I'm going to put it out to the group if anyone can help me be a brain or like be part of my brain. I also created a logo for my former job, and we used a website where you could um, put in your request, how much you were able to pay, and have a number of artists. And I want to say it was like 9 balloons or something. But I'm like, I Googled it quickly and that didn't pop up anything. So, but I know there's websites out there where you can like work with your budget. But again, you don't know what kind of level of artists you might receive. But we had great success with it, and we did something similar. Maybe it's 99 designs. Thank you. Could be. That sounds more normal than 99 balloons for art. But it was really helpful to just have kind of that vision in mind of like we want it to say, when you look at it, that it says California or that it says this. And we actually went through that process not for with 99 designs, but with Kaliba, we just renewed our or updated our logo, and that was it. It's like we want it to say California. We also have a bear. We've always had a bear in our logo, and the important thing was like, California is known for sunsets, not sunrises. So the color scheme, we wanted more sunset. So it's really cool to have that kind of conversation with an artist and see what they come up with. So Adam and Charlie, well, first off, does anybody else have questions about designing and the first steps of, oh, Adam, go ahead.
Actually, I do want to add to what you said.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change your logo
Mm.
is something else. Like I know that we have this like, but like honestly, I don't think anybody in this chat like, like has like this brand that is completely immutable and extremely valuable. It's not like changing Twitter to X, like we one of the cool things about being a small business is that we do get to play with that. And if you try something at first and it doesn't work, like try something else. We've actually kind of made our shifting color palette part of our brand, right? So it's like for the first year, you could, the t-shirts were all in green, and after year one, like I'm tired of green, and so we're not selling green t-shirts anymore. And if you missed out, you missed out. Like the OGs, they got all the green shirts, but like you can play with your brand. We actually did a perfect example of this is we made some heavy metal t-shirts. And so like our brand is not heavy metal. It's a cozy cute bookstore. And I was bored one day of my cozy cute bookstore shirts, and actually I can share my screen, like I can show the shirt. I made a new shirt that I wanted to wear, which is, let's see if this works. I guess we didn't test this first.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, there we go. And it was just like, I wanted to have a heavy metal t-shirt for my store, and these sold so fast and they sold so well. And here you can see the blue shirts that replaced our green shirts. Um, it's just stuff like that where like it's yours, so own it, like play with it when you want to play with it, but don't be beholden to it.
Yeah, perfect. And that's a great opportunity to create like exclusive items, right? Or limited runs of something, and get people to come out and buy them. If you're like, oh, our green shirts are no longer being restocked. If you've been thinking about getting one, get them now. So that's one good way to to sell that merch. Let me just make sure there's no questions. Anyone else have design questions or logo questions before we move on? Just checking. I don't see any hands raised, but let me just triple check. Okay, perfect. Oh, Ariana had a question. Ariana, do you want to come in and
Yeah,
speak?
I
Perfect.
dropped it in the chat, but just like I think the question was just more along the lines of when do you know you're done messing with the branding? But it sounds like the consensus is maybe you don't know. Maybe it is just kind of an evolving process for everybody.
It totally should evolve. Um, I don't think it should stay the same. I mean, you need just the core assets to get going and maybe stick to that for like the first couple years so that way people get familiar with seeing the same things over and over again. That's something we're still struggling with is have people recognize our logo, without the queer books part, but just Charlie's part. So we're just using it consistently everywhere, just so people remember it, because they're not seeing it nearly as many times as you are. So that's where the consistency really, really helps, but it shouldn't stay the same over the years. Yeah.
And yeah, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Like if
Yes.
you if you have, like you need to open the doors of your store, right? So eventually you need to be like, this is good enough, and we can always go back and adjust it later. Um, but at some point, yeah, you gotta call it done and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, perfect. And I think that's a great point about like getting your logo out everywhere. When we revamped our logo, like it's now in my signature of my email, and it's like plopped in there, and we make sure it's like on as much communication as possible from us. Does anybody else have anything to share along the lines of logos or design and getting started? And you can just unmute
What
yourself.
Yeah, one last thing
Okay,
is
go
like,
ahead.
yeah, tap all your resources.
Yeah.
You have a friend that can draw a logo.
Hmm.
Like you don't, you can spend a lot of money going into branding, but depending on where you are in your journey, the logo that your friend made that's kind of, that's maybe a little bit kitsch or a little bit off or a little bit weird, like that's actually kind of cool. You can get these really highly polished things, but the kind of the personal connection you get from something that maybe a friend whipped together, that that a kid or a nephew whipped together for you, also might not be a bad place to start. Um, just tap all those shoulders.
Hmm. Tara, I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, I've been oh sorry, I see I'm frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay. I'm setting up pop-ups in advance of my retail store opening early next year, and I'm trying to not let perfect be the enemy of good. And I'm kind of I go from a pendulum swing one way to the other between having like some really solid branding before I show myself to people, and also like just get out there with the most bare bones thing possible. So I was just trying to think about what level of consistency would be really helpful when people are first seeing me out in the community and I don't have a physical space to anchor me. Like what is the least like bare bones thing that I can show up with? Is it useful to have like consistent color scheme, whether I have a consistent logo or not? Is it good to just have like the name appearing consistently in the same font over and over again? That kind of thing. Like any insight would be really helpful.
We were a pop-up first. We were a disco tiled book cart that I made. I literally just went to an architectural salvage place, got a rolling dolly, and then covered it in wood so it would be a box, and then like a hinge tabletop that had an IKEA leg. So
I
very,
need to
but
see this. I need to see this.
yeah, I'll scroll on Instagram, see if I can get a photo to share with you all. But at that point, all we had was colors and a logo, and that's all we needed. I mean, we just had like a newsletter sign up list so I could keep in contact with people, and because I don't think I had bookmarks to begin, but bookmarks definitely you should have something for them to keep and follow up with you. It was second use to the person who asked in the comments. But yeah, so that's all we had, and that's all we needed. And from that, we were able to, at least people started recognizing us. I think the disco tiles helped. We even had inflatable palm trees that we would put up when we had more space. And I bought faux grass, like a turf rug that I would put out. So that way it kind of conveyed the Palm Springsness of it all, and was eye-catching at markets. But those two things are all we had. So I definitely think you don't need much.
I would also add that you can monetize that initial buy-in and not just do a bookmark, but invest in some stickers, because people we'll give you $3 for a sticker and start that process of buy-in and branding, walking billboarding for you out there with their coffee mugs.
Oh, I found a picture. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really like, Charlie, that you're like, pop-up matched your initial vision of like Palm Springs. Like, so just having that again in mind, like, what do you want to portray for your store at all times? And just like, does this match what I'm doing? Does it match our brand? It's very smart. And then some people are sharing more ideas in the chat. Thank you. So I guess the other way I want to like move this, or other direction I want to move this talk, have you noticed? I haven't had lunch yet. My brain is melting. But is how do you take your branding in store? Do you do you have special signage that matches your logo? Do you have like a window decal? Like how did you bring it into the store? And I'll start with Adam on that one.
Yeah, so again, having the background in graphic design is definitely super cheater mode here, so I apologize to everybody that doesn't. But one of the big things we have been is super consistent on all of our in-store signage and displays. And so we use the same color palette. We picked a font that we use. We picked a sans serif that we use for all of our work, and we just use the same one over and over again. We use different weights, but again, we keep within that same palette. And then in this case, we keep our little friendly snail mascot. And then we keep a similar design language with all of it. So it's always like the little snail, little quote bubble with him saying whatever's in there. That I think is it's something that's small. It takes a minute to set it up initially. We just made the templates for ourselves, and we print them out at home and cut them out. But once we had that, like all of our signage looks like we know what we're doing. And that is, the biggest lie that we have is that we have some idea, but it's just keeping that level of consistency. People respond to that really well, which is funny because I just said, like, you don't have to be consistent, throw it out the window. But with the in-store experience, we do actually aim for a consistent experience because it does end up feeling polished, and it also makes it more comfortable for people to try to move through the store. It's not jarring when they go from one spot to the next. It feels like a smooth transition, and everything there looks familiar. Yeah, so that's where we brought it in.
We when it comes to the in-store, let's see if I'll share here. We made sure the exterior had a mural because we knew that people were we knew people want to take pictures at some point in the store. And so we thought that it would be a good way, putting a mural on the outside of the store. There's several bus lines that pass down this very busy corridor. And so we wanted to have something that you could see from across the street that let you know who we were. And we wanted to, here, this is what it looks like. So this is our little bear mural. And it brings in, it's the classic sign that you would see in Palm Springs kind of thing. Can you see okay? Is it all right? And then we painted the whole, this is a very light pink, but we went to town with this. And then the inside we wanted to make sure was really open and airy. So the shelves don't have sides. You have this pink flood, but it's not overwhelming, and that's about it. With accents of purple. We also have little genre. Sometimes you can break up the genres by having like a piece of plastic or something on the side, like a library would, that says what the genre is. So we decided to actually add pictures. So we had a friend of the shop who is a local illustrator. We had her draw each genre with the bear. These are some of our favorites. This is history. This is horror. You should have seen some of them. They were really wild. And sci-fi. These are just examples of other bears that we've done. This is, you can't totally tell, but he's wearing a little harness. But the store just kind of carries that pink flood through. This is actually an example of one thing we did that we hated inside, if we have a second. But in the beginning, we had this cart here, and that was bad because we noticed that we started doing drawings of how people were flowing through how the foot traffic was flowing. And this was creating like a stop sign. People were either going, there's a corner here, they were either turning right away or they were going all the way through, but this all the way through was not going well. And our store is basically a big circle that you can see here. So we tested some other types of displays, and actually just putting a bench was the best thing we could have done for sales in here, because now it felt like you were going to walk through it. But we're actually going to continue with it and paint this mural. This is just the design of it. This mural, another little art piece on this back wall to work as a visual weenie. And the visual weenie is a term that Walt Disney came up with. Basically, when you think about Disneyland, it's the castle. So you're going to walk toward, you don't even realize it, but like you're walking toward the castle. And on your way to the castle, you're passing all these little things along the way that you can spend money at. So we're using this to help create a visual weenie in the store.
Those are great. And great examples of like what you could also turn into stickers later or tote bags or put on hats. So, and I think it's just showing like it's worth investing in artists and displays, sets and whatnot to grow your brand. Adam, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I want to say like this is actually a perfect segue to like how your brand carries through into the store, right? Mm-hmm. So you start with the emotion, you start with how you want people to feel, how you want people to react, and you design the space to accommodate that. I was going to give you a tour on my laptop, but a bunch of people just walked in, so I'm just going to share my screen and show some photos I took instead. But where did the share button go? There it is. So similar, like here, this would be a good example. It kind of looks like a mess over here, but this is a little bit intentional. So this is our primary seating area. Is it sharing?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, good. And we wanted it to feel like our living room, so we literally brought the furniture from our living room. That's felt like the easiest way to do it. Again, with that whole idea of wanting to slow down and wanting to emphasize kind of the physical space, we have a lot of paintings, a lot of prints, a lot of originals. We use a lot of typewriters through the store to give people things to interact with and to touch. And again, it's all part of this, like, take your time in the store, slow down and write a thought and then, stick it to our wall, right? It is just this, we want people to have that slow experience and meander through and find things, find surprises. We have dozens of different snails hidden just kind of periodically throughout the store. It is all just that consistency as well. So all of our furniture is all blonde wood, with the exception of our seating area, but like all of our fixtures, it's all blonde wood. When I needed to use metal, we used black metal. And having that consistent throughout the store, again, just keeps that feeling of kind of know what we're doing. But also everything is touchable. Nothing here is so precious that, a kid can't grab it. It's not going to hurt anything. We have a bunch of like paper stars that we hung up to emphasize the star light that we use over our small stage. but it all just adds to this same feeling of like it's cozy, it's a place you can hang out in, it's a place where you can touch what's there.
Find the book and then we'll get serious.
And hopefully, slow down and have a drink.
So this is the one I just really fun. So they get this.
Very cool. Thank you. So I guess before I move on to the next topic, does anybody have questions or things that they would like to share? Things that have worked for them? Keeping an eye on. You're welcome to just unmute yourself and ask the question or pop it in the chat. I don't hear anybody. All right, then I guess I would like you both to talk a little bit about staffing. Like when you are hiring somebody or when you did your hiring, did you share with them, the vibe that you're going with? Do you have any tricks on like how to kind of, I don't know if train people to fit into it is the best way, or maybe hire to fit into your brand. Do you think about your employees as like an extension of the brand, or is that totally not something you do? And I'll start with Charlie or who, yeah.
Oh yeah, they're completely the extension of the brand. They are it when you're not there.
Yep.
It's one of the nicest and most terrifying parts of it. But yes, when we're hiring, we are absolutely upfront about the vibe that we want to make. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little different for us because we're a queer bookstore in this moment. So, we have a very serious chat about the risks involved working at our store. And then we have an equally serious conversation about how to have fun in it. Because I hate to say it again, but we're kind of like queer Disney. We need to be like queer Disneyland, where this is a place where you can go for joy. This is a place where you can go to take a break, a breather from how tough things can be out there. And especially Seattle has a humongous influx of trans people from red states and other impacted areas. And so, we tend to be one of their first stops. And so we need to have fun. We need to be joyous. We need to be focused on the moment, but not overcome by it. So that is something that, and it's tough because maybe we're also going through it as people, but at a certain point, we kind of have to remember our retail hat and people love to gush on, or like I wouldn't say trauma dump, but they love to, we're not trained therapists, but people don't remember that. And so also having to be able to compartmentalize and make some space for what they're coming in with, especially parents crying and stuff like that. So it's a whole range of emotions that we see at the bookstore, people needing our help. And so how we show up for them is humongous because they can also be coming to us in a really vulnerable place, and how we respond to them can really impact them. So those are the two kind of humongous topics that we approach when talking to folks, and they are reminders that we keep talking about it as time passes. So it's a lot to ask for a bookseller, especially they're not getting paid a hell of a lot. So it's a lot to ask for at that wage, but it just is what the job is.
Mhm.
But you're making a humongous impact on the community. Like our booksellers have a tangible role in people's lives, and that's pretty amazing.
Mhm. Totally. Thank you.
I have less insight than that. We're a family run bookstore. So I'm here most days, although I'm not the primary employee. The primary employee who's here most days is actually like my best friend,
Right.
who needed a job and he moved to Portland, and I was like, here, let's get you a job.
Okay.
But what I will say is I have hired at least one employee. She's right there. And it was kind of like I couldn't get rid of her. She had like the absolute right vibe for the bookstore. She comes to all the events. Sometimes your biggest fans, they're also your biggest advocates, right? And she's already used to selling the bookstore to other people, because people who really like your bookstore will talk about your bookstore to their friends. And I couldn't get rid of her, so I decided to start paying her.
Nice. And though this session isn't particularly on hiring, that's always a good question to ask, is like, why us? Or like, have you shopped here before? Ideally, you might recognize them. But perfect. Thank you for that. I think the last topic that I want to touch on before either the two of you can share anything else we haven't touched on, or if the group wants to ask, but is how do you pull your brand into your events? And I know when we chatted before, you both mentioned some unique events that you host. So I'll start with Adam on this one. Oh, we did get a question. So I'll pin it for a question in a second. So before we go on to that question, Adam, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
From Ariana, how do you all manage things like social media and who runs them? Do you usually run it yourself, or is it something you outsource or split with staff? So I guess that falls into what we were discussing with employees a little bit.
Yeah, I can go first really quick.
Okay,
So for me, me and my wife do it all. We do have, again, we have that background in graphic design and marketing, so it's a super cheater mode there. But it takes a lot of work to maintain a social media presence. It is not as easy as people think. My main suggestion is make it as easy for yourself as you can. It's one of those weird things where quantity is almost better than quality half the time. Just for the algorithms, you need to be constantly producing, which sucks. But so finding a rhythm, finding a pattern. On Mondays we post a book review. On Tuesday we post new releases. On Wednesday we do this. Something like that to make it easy for yourself. And then if you use something like Canva or whatever tools you're using for design, even I think within some of the more sophisticated the Instagram tools, deeper down the rabbit hole, they do have the ability to make templates for yourself. And yeah, so my initial suggestion, depending on your size, if it is something that does seem daunting, it's just make it easy for yourself. It doesn't have to be amazing, doesn't have to be groundbreaking. But people just want to know that you're still there.
Full name, all one word, Lord.
I agree that it's and I have to remind myself this almost every day, that it's better to just put something than nothing. We have templates that we use for our events that kind of mirror what our newsletters look like. That's helpful. And then anytime an author comes in, we take a photo and post it. That's easy content. As far as like hiring, we have some theater kids that we employ, and I got to tell you, that's the most handy thing if you need social media content, because all you need to have is just an idea and record them doing it, and it's great. But honestly, like, it's just me, and my wife helps out sometimes, and it's so hard to keep up with. But we just like Adam said, maybe on Tuesdays, if it helps you to have a regular thing, go for it. But yeah, something's always better than nothing. And we've played around with like photos versus graphics versus video versus, like, if you try to outsmart the algorithm, you'll lose like every time. It's mostly just about getting stuff up there, learning we learn that if we post stuff later in the day, it does better than in the morning. Like, that's maybe the only real learning we have, and Sundays are a wash. Wait till Monday. Like, we just kind of notice those things over time, but really just get it out there. Just get it out there is the best advice. But yeah, social media is really tough.
Yeah.
No, we don't. I wish, Third Place Books out here in Seattle has some really passionate booksellers who love to make the content. And I am so deeply jealous of them because they do a great job. And they just create the content and give it to a point person. No one has the keys other than this point person, which I think is a really nice way to do it. I would be terrified to give the keys to somebody else. But because you just like, even if they're the best social media manager in the world, everybody makes a mistake. Like it's just, I don't know. I used to work in that world, so I've really seen and done some mistakes, some real doozies. So I appreciate when if they can record stuff, feel free to record, make all this kind of funny stuff you want and or whatever, and just send it to me, and that way I can post it. But yeah, there are other tools like Buffer or Sprout Social, but you don't need those. You really don't.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to the training of folks because in my when I was a bookseller, I was in charge of marketing, events, and programming. And then at one point, I also created a teen advisory board, and we had wanted them to do some social media without like them actively posting it. So when we trained new booksellers that were interested in like helping with our Instagram or Facebook or whatever we had going on at the time, we just always communicated what our voice should be, and we asked them to like review what we've posted in the past. And like we had like the strict rule was always positive, right? Everything is positive. There's no negative. You're not putting anything negative out there. You're not criticizing anything. If you're reviewing a book at all times, like we should never be putting out anywhere negative reviews, like whether it's social media or on our on our book plates or wherever, whatever we have going on. So it's like always positive, always a thank you. And if you got feedback in the comments, that came to me, right? I was the one who responded to anything negative in the comments, or if there was a question that you couldn't be answered quickly, then that would come to me as a marketing manager. And then we also, similar to what Charlie said, we discovered throughout like on Instagram in particular at the time, people liked or engaged most with images that had people in them. So not just a picture of the book, but a picture of a bookseller in the book or a dog in the book, So like they really engage more with people. So we learned that throughout the process. And, with analytics now, you can kind of find that information. But I would say when you're training another person is that you just have to have clear rules. And if it's a teen that doesn't, that maybe you have a teen program or something and they want to create content, that like what Charlie said, send it to me and I'll post it. And then maybe as part of that also have like kind of what you do with any kind of toolkit of like, here's the hashtags you for sure want to use. Here's how you tag an author. Here's how you tag, like those kind of resources for them when you're ready to take it off your plate. That's kind of my advice as someone who did that training. Any more questions on this before we move on to events? No. Okay, perfect. Then I'll re-ask the question if I can remember how I asked it. But so you both spoke a little bit to me off camera about some of the events that you do. So how do you bring your brand into the events, or or make sure you're carrying your brand throughout your events? And I think I started with Adam.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so events, I guess we do a couple different things, right? So we have book clubs. Book clubs are normal. I don't think I need to go in too deep on what a book club is. People show up, they read books. It works really well. But some of the things that we do that are maybe a little bit different is that we do an adult summer reading program. I think I mentioned, I can't remember if I talked to you before that or if it was part of this chat since we started recording. I don't remember.
I think it was the pre-chat when we were chatting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one of the things that we noticed right away, demographically where we are, is that there are tons of stay-at-home moms, and they're bored. And so we wanted to give them something to do that didn't involve their children. And so we did a summer reading program for grown-ups, complete with pizza party at the end. And that has been extremely successful. We have 80 people registered this year. We had to rent out a bigger venue for the end. I can't hold it here in the store, which is I guess a good problem to have, right? But it's really like meeting them where they are, right? Like there's people, they're bored at home, they need an excuse to socialize. And that was a great way to do it. It's all in terms of like how does it meet our brand, it is all in person, right? It is all about slowing down and connecting with each other. It's about re-engaging each other in a social space. Originally it was just meeting in our little store living room, and hang out for a chat. I think again that emotion that you want to convey with your event is really important. So a couple of our other events that we do, we have like a craft night where we it's called Pens and Needles. We put on some records and we sit there and we craft. And it's not really like a big sales event, but it's really more just getting people comfortable with slowing down in the space. And those actually also work well to figure out which parts of the space are working and which ones aren't. So it's like if the way we have the seating arrangement and people suddenly don't want to sit in this part of the store, it's like, okay, well, let's figure out why that is. But giving people the excuse to sit down in the store is the first step to figuring out why they may or may not be. So I'm trying to think we do the pins and needles. We have a puzzle night, which again is just like a night to hang out and do puzzles and chill in our little living room. It is all trying to give people that refuge away from their digital lives, put their phones down for a minute and literally pick up anything else, please.
Wonderful.
I love the pens and needles. That's really great. We similar like we carry a book called Shitty Craft Club, or yeah, and the author is really wonderful and fabulous and has like DM'd us because we've built a relationship because we decided to do a shitty craft night. And so I went to another like second use store for crafting supplies here in town and got a bunch of rhinestones, googly eyes, even some like empty pill bottles, which were a big hit. And like just different items, random items, and like faux fur chunks. Like it was really weird. Some pipe cleaners, and then people we just provided it, and then they just went to town. That was one of our most popular ones. We also do get shit done time, so it's just an hour where people show up and body double each other to do the thing they've been putting off. I mean, we also have Silent Book Club and all the normal stuff, but we also like to do because especially in the beginning when we're competing against really established stores, your Elliott Bays, your Third Places of Seattle, like it was pretty difficult to get authors to come by, and so our events with authors. And so what we did in our pitches was to stand out was we made them into different kind of event. So instead of a typical author talk where you have two people just chatting about a book that you haven't been able to read yet because it just came out, we're going to instead do friendship speed dating if friendship was a major theme of the book. So it's Shirley Temples and a little, bingo card to find people who meet these certain prompts. Or we did a book. We were able to get Aidan Thomas, who is a great YA author and has a lot of great indigenous Mexican elements to his writing. And so we decided to pitch an event where we would have folkloric dancers there, and we would have because it was October, and had to deal with themes of death. We also had an ofrenda that we did for trans lives. So doing things that were like a step beyond or a twist. We even had like a June Jordan had, that's not the author's name, but they, Jason June, I think, yes, had a Christmas book coming out. And so we decided to pitch him by saying we're going to do an ugly sweater contest at his book event. So like there were ways that we could tie in joy and be competitive with our through our events. But we also did things like whistle kit making. Like that we have a lot of voter registration stuff. So like, and those are just people setting up tables. and really low lift for us. So we do a lot of meaningful things too. And we have a community ofrenda during October. So it's it's a good mix of things, but yeah, that's kind of how we bring it in.
Very nice.
Oh God, one time I got pool inflatables because I wanted to do a queer pool party. That wasn't the greatest. It was a lot of legal hoops to jump through, but I was tired of not being able to have a space where trans people felt like they could go to the pool. And so I just bought like a ton of inflatable pools and floaties, and everyone just came out and hung out in the water. It was awesome,
Hilarious.
but way too much work.
That was a lot of work. Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I was gonna say actually to kind of what you said, where you said it's like trying to find where your niche is amongst all this competition, especially like other established businesses. That again is another one of those things where I think it's like listening to your community. Like they will tell you what they need, right? They'll tell you what they want to do. And if you listen, like you'll hear good ideas, right? Kind of like what you're saying with the pool party, right? Where it's like there is a problem in the community, and it's like, well, I have a platform, like let's do like the silliest way to address this, right? And that became something uniquely yours, right? I love the community of Frenda. That's actually something I've been wanting to do since we opened as well. I think that's such a rad idea. And it's just listen to your customers.
And Charlie, you mentioned earlier, I think when the three of us were just chatting before coming on about like making a day your own. Do you want to speak to that as well?
Oh yeah. So thank you. I totally forgot. Okay, so one of the best pieces of advice I got early in my career was to own something. And so, for example, I worked at a digital bank and we had an APY that was like 3.02 or something. And we really wanted to get the word out about how this was a quite large APY for a checking account. And so we decided on March 2nd that would be like our day to own on social media. And so, or if your mascot is a hot dog and it's National Hot Dog Day, great, there you go. So we decided to do a queer book fair. We do it in June. We wanted something in June. What is our big thing that we do in June? And so we decided to do a queer book fair. I got to tell you, there's really nothing that different between any day of the week and the queer book fair as far as like our store is concerned. We don't actually do a sale on that day. We just invite other people in. So we have a DJ, we have food trucks, we have face painting, we have vendors selling, and we just charge a small table fee for them to do that. And they keep the rest. And we have authors stop in. So it's gone from 1 day to 2 days. We've played with we've done where day 1 is for all ages really, but adult focused. Day 2 was more kid focused. That was pretty good. This year we tried day 1 was like vendors and DJ and all the big stuff, and then day 2 was indie authors, which I liked because it also drove home the community aspect and how hard it can be in publishing to break through if you're a marginalized voice. So things like that were really nice. It made me want to expand it into a small press thing too. Local small presses good table. But anyway, so queer book fair is a lot of fun. We just it's all about the good vibes on those days, and it just creates an excuse for people to come by and to buy the books. So we just decided not to do a discount because people weren't looking for that. They were just looking for a good party.
I want to add to what you just said about not doing a discount. I think that's one of the things that people really can get trapped in early on is building a culture around discounts with events. If you do it too much, people then some people only come when there is a discount, or people will always expect a discount when there is an event. A lot of people that are coming to these events want to come to an event to support a local bookstore, not to like get a screaming deal on a book. And so I think that, yeah, don't we do very few sales here, and when we do, they're almost always member only. So like, people aren't looking for them. You don't have to give it to them.
Good advice. Well, we're almost at our 1 hour mark. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to talk about, Adam or Charlie? Doesn't look like it. Oh, Adam, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
I will say, like, one of the things that has been really successful for us in the store actually are these goofy typewriters we have around. And it was really just the idea of like, what do we do to give kind of kids something to do while their parents are shopping, right? And so like we have a selection of books or blocks. Like kids make blocks all the time. Those blocks get so much more use now than they did when my kids were, little. Paying attention to the needs of the customer doesn't just mean like making sure we have the right books and sidelines in stock that they want. It's also like making sure that their experience shopping the store meets them where they need it. So, for instance, our children's books are highly visible from from kind of what I call like mommy aisle, which is our romance and lit fic books. It's like it's the busy aisle for a lot of our moms, and from there it's a straight shot. They can see down and keep an eye on the kids, either in our little living room section or in the kids books, right? And so just kind of paying attention to what they need when they're actually doing the act of spending money, because like the goal is we want them to feel comfortable that they can spend enough time in the bookstore to find a book or two. And if in the case of the kids, if the kids are like, mom, can we leave, then they're not going to spend time doing that. But if the kids are playing with blocks over on these chairs, nothing that's within kids' reach is precious. And so it's like they're going to wail on that cast iron typewriter all day long, and I'll just have to pop the keys back back down, and it's ready to go again. But it buys time for the parent in that case. It's actually, our vinyl records are also intentionally visible from that same section of books, because that's often where the husbands that don't read end up. So so you kind of like have this triangle of vision of like who can keep an eye on who from where they're spending the most time in the store.
Yeah, that's great advice and great tip. Thank you, Adam and Charlie. I really appreciate it. You had some great insight and advice. So thank you so much. And just a reminder that we're going to be doing this again on a different topic. So we will have the resources and the video recording of this, if you came in late, up on the 3 Association websites shortly. And in the meantime, you can check out our upcoming sessions. Next Wednesday, we'll be continuing the branding conversation with buying to boost your brand. So hopefully, Alicia is putting that link in our chat, but you can find it on all our websites, and we'll send that out to you shortly. Thank you all for joining us. And again, thank you, Adam and Charlie, and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. There's that link. Okay, before you leave. Thank you so much, everyone.